Aren't you tired of giving your talents away for something as cheap as money? I recently heard that pop up in my head, and I've said similar things to others. And for some people, they'll feel like, what? For most people, they'll be like, what are you talking about? For others, they may feel like, something will pique their interest. And for others, it'll hit like a truck when you hear that. Aren't you tired of giving away your talents for something as cheap as money? And I see it happen every single day where you have extremely talented people who give their talents away for a minuscule amount. I'm not talking about dollar amount, I'm talking about cheapening their gift for money. People who have an amazing power to heal others, to see others, to be felt by others, and cheapen the potency of what they have to give, cheapen their worth, and also reduce their reach by only giving away for money. This subject is a little hard for me because I've said similar things in the past and people have looked at me like I was crazy. And I believe it's because my brain, or from what I remember of not being human, the idea of operating in a monetary system doesn't make sense to me at all. It's actually the regression of a society. I feel like the two ways you know a society has regressed or is regressing. The first one is language. If you need a spoken language, that means you have lost something essential that I believe every being has on some level. And if you need some sort of barter and trade type e-commerce, that's another way that you know that you've lost something, because anyone with, I don't want to say common sense, I'll say someone who observes nature and observes the truth that everything is here and abundant for free. Nature never charges you anything except maybe your time in putting it together and noticing that it's here. And most of the times, you don't have to put anything together, nature just gives freely. I said something to a friend not too long ago where she was asking me about, I make these um, clearing sprays, or my version is actually my version of a Florida water that went wrong, but right. I wanted to see if I can make Florida water on my own, just with ingredients like the recipe I found on like what is in Florida water. No, I knew nothing else except for what was in it. And I had never actually smelled Florida water before at that time. So I just put all the ingredients in a bottle along with some alcohol and let it sit for a year. Really, I let it sit for 2 years, but for the first year, it turned into something really amazing that smelled nothing like Florida water, which I'm grateful for because I don't actually like the smell of Florida water that much. My mother loves it. To me, it smells like old people, which explains a lot. But she was asking me about it because I just give it away. Like whenever I have a batch that's ready, I give it to my family and friends. And she was like, "You really should. Have been telling you for years you should sell this." And I'm like, "Not everything is for sale, you know. Not everything should be. That doesn't mean that in the future I might sell it, but I really don't want to. I really want it to be a gift. And this type of thinking has followed me throughout my whole life. Oh, my phone's going kind of dark. Sorry. This kind of thinking has been with me throughout my whole life. Um, when I first started to paint, I kind of got sucked into that idea that I had to sell my paintings and create this business to be able to survive. And I quickly realized that that is a horrible idea. Not because I can't sell my paintings, but because of what it did to me. When I did sell some of my paintings, I felt so cheap. Not that the price for them was cheap, but I felt cheapened. Something that I took time to do, all this time, my heart and my soul into this thing, and I gave it away for money. Something that was out of my hands within a few days. So essentially, I gave it away for nothing. Even if I would have saved the money and kept the money, or even if I would have sold it for $1 million, I gave away a piece of myself for something as cheap and worthless as money. And every time I've ever sold any of my art or pieces, I felt that way. I felt extremely cheap and I guess the equivalent of someone who gave something away. But I don't see giving in that same light. It was only when I started to create for the specific person. I would make paintings for my mother, for my father, paintings for myself, pieces for friends, like jewelry and things like that. And giving them that piece, painting, jewelry, whatever, felt it felt like I was actually getting something wonderful back. To create something for somebody that I either knew that they would love or knew that they would appreciate, I felt rich. I felt way richer than if I would have gotten it from them, if I would have given it to them for money. To see the look on their face or to hear that they really loved it or that they still wear it or that it meant a lot to them, that meant more to me than any dollar amount ever has made me feel. If anything, for me, money or the pursuit of money has stolen more from me than it's ever given back. And online and different places, you'll hear people say that if you feel that way or you if you give your things away for nothing, then there's something wrong with you, or that is a form of lack, that you feel like you don't deserve money and all these things. And I used to believe that for a long time, and I would try to change that in myself. But then I realized, no, those people are wrong. The reason why is because I fully understand how worthless money is. Not because of whatever dollar amount that we give it, but because it literally gives nothing back. Versus when you do something for someone, when you create for the world around you, when you create for yourself, how much I've gotten back from that. The last thing I gave away was a jewelry piece that I made for a friend. And to hear her say, I wore it and I loved it so much, and so many people were asking me about it, where I got it from, and all this, that made me. I feel like a millionaire. Not because just people were asking about it, but because she loved it so and she cherished it. I felt like I had done my work. And when you live in a world where we prioritize money over making someone happy, over experiences, over fulfilling something within ourselves, you'll never be understood. I know somebody's going to feel that way if they see this video. You'll never feel understood because we live in a world where people have been brainwashed to believe that money actually has value in their life. People will say that money is energy, which is true. It is a form of energy, but it's an unnecessary one, in my opinion. Because when you give of what you have and you share, there's no need for money. I dream of a world where we live like Star Trek, where Earth is free. It's shared. Everything on Earth is shared. And the environment is clean and people do whatever it is that they feel like they want to do. They are giving to society from what they have to give, and they're sharing and loving. That's the only type of society that ever makes sense, especially when you live on Earth, on a planet that gives to you absolutely for free. I don't think I'll ever understand the human race because I think I just see it exactly for what it is: lost. Now, because I live on Earth, I still have to live here. I still have to live in this society and do what I have to do to survive here. But that doesn't mean that way of living has to control my mind, nor does that mean everything I do has to be for sale. And I've been thinking about this over the next year. So I turn 34 next month. Can't believe that already. Already 34. And for the past 15 years, I have been spending my time trying to figure out and that's outside, how could I monetize my gifts? And this is the first time in my life I've thought to myself, what if I didn't? I still can survive, but what if I didn't monetize what I want to give and I just gave it freely? Just like how I'm doing these videos. What if I gave it freely? What if I gave to myself freely and spent the time that I, work or do whatever it is that I need to do to live, just being and not trying? Because I feel like my whole adult life, I've been trying to make that happen and it just hasn't. And so I think I'm going to take the hint that it doesn't have to, that I can spend my time giving of myself as I so choose. And that's the ultimate power that I have. That's the riches that I live in. To be so rich of heart, so rich of spirit, so rich within myself that I have the ability to give what I choose in a world that takes as much as it'll steal from you. That's how I feel. I don't know what any of that means, though. I don't know what that looks like. I just know I deserve better. And maybe one day soon, maybe it's a long shot, maybe one day soon the world will catch up with me. With a lot of us, there's a lot of us who live and believe this, who know that the way we live does not make sense. The way we exchange energy does not make sense and it is toxic It is a system that was not built by us, but built by something that wanted to steal our energy from us. And it doesn't really have to do with any of the people in power. I really believe it is something more, something that feeds off of sadness, just like how in Monsters Inc. the the society of Monsters Inc. fed on the screams of children. And the only difference is this energy that steals the sadness of humanity, they can't feed off of happiness. Because if people are happy, then they realize that a lot of the things that we think we need, we really don't. And then where does that leave them? Where does that leave their children? Their earth children who are put in place to keep their desires going. Where does that leave us? Free. Something this energy does not want. And that's totally fine. I have an acceptance of, just like any other animal, any other being, this is what it does, just like a vampire. A vampire needs to feed on blood. This energy needs to feed on misery and sadness of people. And it's unfortunate that we are the prey. But c'est la vie. But anyways, not everything has to be monetized. Not everything, you don't have to give the best of yourself for something as cheap as money. Only if you choose to. And if you do, there's nothing wrong with that. You're doing what you need to do. But if I don't have to, I won't. And that's all I have to say for today. Love you. Bye.